MSNBC senior analyst Matt Dowd, whose cell phone had to have exploded yesterday when everyone wanted to know if Ann Seltzer's poll was real. So I'll start with you. Is Ann Seltzer's poll real?
Well, thank you, Nicole. I think it's real in what's happening. I don't necessarily agree that Harris is going to win. But the idea that even if she lost by 2 or 3 is a momentous motion of the race. And in these races, and you and I work together, and I look for signals at the end. You sort of abandon the sort of polling stops really fundamentally on the Friday before, and you look at signals. And I think the Seltzer poll is a signal of something that I've been saying for 2 months, which is the undercount in this race, the underestimation in this race is much more likely to be for Harris than it is for Donald Trump. And the thing about Seltzer, I think that is important for people to realize is not necessarily is she up 3 or where is it, but she in 2020, she was the first one at the end to sort of signal that Joe Biden's support was inflated. He won. He didn't win by as much as everybody thought he was going to win. And she saw that coming at the end before anybody else did. She also was the first one at the end in 2016 to show that Donald Trump was surging at the end, especially of late-breaking votes. And she identified that before many of us, many people, saw that coming in the final 3 days. And so to me, what I think she's showing, and I think there's other data bearing this out, there's a poll in Kansas that shows her down only 5. There's a poll in Ohio showing her down only 3 or 4. There's a Nebraska 2nd District poll that shows her 12 up in a district that Joe Biden carried by 5 or 6. And so what I think she's showing and identifying is there is a surge at the end or a revelation at the end that Harris has this unestimated vote that the models that pollsters have been using, which was based on 2020 or based on 2016, didn't apply in a post-Dobbs, post-January 6th environment. So I think she shined a light. Whether Harris wins Iowa or not, I still doubt that she wins it. What she's identified, in my view, is what the other pollsters have not caught that she caught, which is an underestimation of the Harris vote.
So when you say you're saying you don't think she wins Iowa. How are you feeling about the race?
I think I'm very bearish on whatever the right term is. I don't ever know. I think Harris.
You can tell who worked on Wall Street, right? I never know either. I think
is it like a bear or bull? Which one's good?
I think the bull is good and the bear is bad, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not. You're gonna have to get Aunt Scaramucci
on
this.
Bull is
good. Yes. So I think, and I've said this all along, and you and I've had this conversation, I think this race has been very stable since she got in the race. And I've said that I thought she had a 3 or 4 point advantage nationally. And I think there's a poll out today, Marist poll out today, that shows her up 4. I think that's been the case. What has complicated it, and what I think people have misread and then misled, is all of this crap polls, corrupt and crap polls. GOP has flooded the zone. They put 17 polls out today, the GOP, to try to say that Trump's going to win. It's all BS. I think what happened was all these poll aggregators and all these folks couldn't help themselves. It's a little bit like I say, they know it's crud. They know it's not good, but it's a little bit like you have this poison food or this food that's gone bad in your refrigerator and you ordered food on DoorDash. But because DoorDash is late, you go ahead and eat the food that you have sitting there because you couldn't wait for the good food. I think many people couldn't wait for the good polls, so they consumed the bad. And I think that's what misled people.
I also think, Michael Steele, that, and I said this last night on our special, that we don't, as a media, know how to cover men on the issue of abortion. I believe we will owe Amanda Zarowski and the other female plaintiffs in the lawsuits after the draconian Texas ban and others for going public with the story of what it's like to lose a desperately wanted pregnancy. Amanda Zarowski was pregnant with her daughter Willow, and when she lost her daughter and was grieving the loss of that pregnancy, she and her husband Josh were denied health care that makes it unknown if she'll ever be able to have a baby again. And the two of them went through that tragedy together, and the two of them saw 2 systems of healthcare in America. It also applies to pregnant women who get in car accidents and states events. They have to wait before they can get any pain medicine in some instances, the doctors want to know if they're pregnant or not. I mean, this is not a terror or horror. it is experienced by women, but men are not walled off from it, but we have no way of talking to them about it. We have no way of covering them. And I think it is a known unknown how men will vote, how girl dads will vote, how dog dads will vote.
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, over many years in this space, in the pro-life movement and as a political player in the Republican Party, as a candidate, as an elected official, you sort of move in and out of issues like this in a way in which you pick up, I think, some underlying points about how it is received, how it is consumed by the broader community. And I think on this issue, you're absolutely right. Men have largely been walled off from the abortion discussion because our attitude in this country, which is still very much a very puritanical attitude when it comes to women, is, well, you take care of it. That's your problem. That's not my problem. And if the woman resists that, then that leads to other problems for her that have nothing to do with getting to the hospital. It has to deal with her relationship with her family. It has to deal with her relationship with her male companion. And this election cracked that, I think, in a very profound way. Because for the first time, women have said, listen to what I'm telling you. We've had enough of this one-sided conversation on an issue that affects all of us. And so now you've got to be in this conversation too.